My name's Kayla Hamner, and I've been a part of Sensory Enhanced Aquatics for my full 3 years of being an OT student at KU. The first year I was just an instructor, and then the last 2 years I've been also a student director. One method that we use to teach often is just a model. So we'll show them first and we'll have them just watch us do the skill, and a lot of times that helps them process what they need to do and how to do it. So we like to give our swimmers breaks between their skills and when they're working to, let them decompress a little bit and have some fun. And so you'll see on that video, we're taking a break jumping. He just likes to jump and splash a little bit, have some fun. So, we do breaks in different ways. Some of them like to play with the toys, some of them like to dive for rings, some of them like to just do whatever they want and not listen to an instructor for a little bit. But this kiddo likes to jump around and splash, and it just makes him giggle the whole time. When the kiddos are kicking from the edge of the pool, a lot of them don't have a ton of core strength, and so we support them underneath their belly so they can feel what it feels like to be on top of the water. And then another component of that is they like to kick with their knees rather than their hips. You can see I'm holding one hand under his belly for support, and then I'm holding one hand over his feet so he can feel the end point of the kick. So when you're swimming, bubbles are important. You want to be able to blow the water out instead of sucking it in all the time. So when we work on bubbles, it's important a lot of times that we sit right in their face and do it where they can see you. If you do it to the side, sometimes they just look at you the whole time and they can't really tell what you're doing. And then another skill that I typically use is I'll show them before we go down to the water, and I'll just be, and then we'll move into the water. And we'll do it at the same time, just right in front of each other, and they usually catch on pretty fast. When we teach back floats, we use different strategies as well. One of the ones that we use is, telling the kid to get their head back. We point up at the ceiling, or we lift our hands way up and count on our fingers. So they're looking up at our hand to get their head back, and kind of facilitate that float on top of the water. Another tool that we use is one of the barbells, and it's just a flotation device that they can hold on to and kind of pull against the water a little bit, and it will bring their body up to the water so they can feel what it feels like again. So when we work with the kiddos, we put a big emphasis on being animated in your face, right? So if they do something, you're like, yeah, good job, big smiles all over the place. To get them to kind of react a little bit and, gain some confidence. I did that, that was awesome, I did a good job. So on that back float, you can see that we took the flotation device away, and my arm was just underneath his back, his lower back, to kind of propel him up towards the top of the water, just to kind of facilitate more independence with the skill. And then I cue him while we're doing that to keep his head back, keep his belly up, and try to keep his toes up on top of the water. When we're doing back floats, it's easy to grade out how much support you give them. So, you can start with a full hand, and then you can let it go to maybe 2 fingers so they just know your support is still there, and then you can slowly just pull your fingers back away from it, and they'll kind of feel what it feels like to do it all on their own. When he's kicking, you can kind of tell that his core tone is low, and you can see that his legs, he's kicking from his knees rather than his hips in this video pretty well. So I'm supporting him underneath his belly, again, to try to lift him up on top of the water. We work on kicks on the edge of the pool when they're seated a lot, and a lot of them have the tendency to fold forward a little bit. And so you'll see me kind of correct his position a little bit and make his posture more upright. So that'll facilitate more core strength as well. And then we're working on keeping our toes pointed out and straight legs to try to teach him how to kick from his hips. Sometimes in the pool it's hard for them to hear with the water splashing around their ears, or maybe their ears are actually in the water, and so we use different kinds of cues instead of just a verbal cue to tell them. Sometimes we'll tap on their legs or tap on their arms to get them to actually do the skill that we are asking them to do. So with this kiddo, you can tell that he doesn't have a whole lot of body control when we're bobbing in the water. He'll come up really fast and go down really fast and kind of flail around. So that's one thing that we're working on just safety-wise, is to just maintain a calm body, and that will help him be more safe on his own in the water. For very beginner swimmers that do back floats, a lot of times we put their head right on our shoulder because they're afraid to have it just on the water by themselves. So, if they're right next to us, we can talk in their ear very quietly. They feel like they're safe, but we're still facilitating the head back and getting them prepped to move on to make it more independent. So when we're doing glides off of the wall, a lot of times we do step-by-step, easy, simple phrases when we're telling them what steps to take to perform the skill. So for a glide, we'd say hands up on the wall, or just hands up, and then feet up, and then head back, and then tell him to push off the wall. And then you can see that my supported hand is underneath his back again, because he's starting to fold over, and that has to do with the low core tone as well. So for front glides, when they're pushing off of the wall, we want to make sure their head is in the water for that, because that's the most functional way that you would use that in an actual swimming pool. So a lot of times we cue them, add that as a step. So we do hands up, feet up, head in the water, push off the wall, and then try to maintain that head in the water. So a lot of our kiddos benefit from what we call hand over hand support when we're teaching them the arms of the strokes. So if we're doing the breaststroke arms, it looks like this. And so when he's doing it, I'll put my hands directly over his and guide them where they're going and give him verbal cues at the same time to tell him, this is what it means to do this, what it feels like, certain things like that. So each time we get out of the pool every week, we just give the parent a brief synopsis of what we did during the lesson, what they did well, and kind of the plan moving forward of, how we're going to progress them, and ask them, what changes they might want me to do or anything like that.
My name is Radhika. My son is 11 years old and he is on the autism spectrum. He was diagnosed at the age of 3.5. He's more on the non-verbal side, so his communication skills are pretty minimal. But he's a very happy, content kid. Just so blessed to have him. He loves water. He absolutely does. I don't know, I think it just calms him down, I guess. So even when he was a baby or a kid, even now, shower is his go-to. If I say, let's go shower, and he can be there forever. We've tried him in a group setting with regular, typical kids. We've tried private one-on-one. There was never a connection with the instructor, so it was very hard for him to understand on what to do. Or how to work with the water, I would say. He's pretty comfortable, but just knowing on how to learn swimming was always a challenge for us to teach him. So like I said, we tried one-on-one also. It's just the instructor never could connect with him to teach him the right way. A friend of mine whose kid also comes here actually told us about this place. That's how we got started here. We thought, okay, let's give it a try, because it's the occupation therapists who are actually working with these kids. So we wanted to give it a try, and we've just loved it ever since. He's always been comfortable, but I feel he can float better, and he's never been afraid of water, don't get me wrong, but I think he's more comfortable in there for sure. Swimming, we feel, is a life, I would say it's a life skill. So him being in the water by himself, so where he can swim in case of any emergencies or any accidents, that's huge for us, yeah.